Welcome back, everyone. This is Chow Chun Lee and Jamarius Herbs, and we are No Spider, All Web. And today we will be discussing our Hangman game. So far, out of the two projects we've done, I think this one was the most challenging. Let's see. Now let's get started. So one of the first things we did was we had to come up with a way to have a difficulty selection. So we had four different modes. You can choose from easy, medium, difficult, or impossible. And basically, for the Hangman game, we just use the radio buttons for the difficulty setting. And once you select your difficulty, you would just hit the submit form and you would be able to choose pretty much your word. You can pick which word, well, not pick your own word, but you would be able to enter your guess basically. And so once you selected your radio button, uh, let's go back there. Sorry. Where were we? Right. Yeah. So once you selected a certain radio button, it would go and be processed, and from that point, it would choose from a certain array list. So if your difficulty selection was easy, then it would pick from the word list file of arrays with car, run, gas, dad, mom, and it would basically randomly select the word. So I wouldn't know, you wouldn't know, just the computer would know which word it is. I mean, you would guess, of course, but that's the whole point of the game, right? And as you can see, for a medium, we have different words as well. I selected like food, cake, ham, cheese. It's, nothing major. But when we get to the impossible, as you can see, we use kind of like medical terminology. And a lot of those words people never even think of. So that made it pretty impossible, I would think. Now, once you sign in using your name and your email, we use cookies. And the reason we selected cookies is because we're not really using any secret or personal information. It's just basically your email. And it's also used for the leaderboard, we'll talk about later. But yeah, we just use cookies. And once the form was submitted, then you will see the cookies will be set. And then the farm processing, which was one of the topics in the project. I think farm processing was the bulk of the project. Uh, we had to use info from text boxes, the name and the email, which were in the text boxes. We had to use those for the cookies, as well as the way to sign in and your name for the leaderboard, that type of thing. Also, we used the radio buttons, as we spoke about earlier, where we use those to select your difficulty and pick from the rare words, depending on which selection you picked, of course. And as I said about the name and email text box, and that form we use for the login and registration as well. Like once you put your name and email, there you go. And you would be in there ready to play the game. All right, so now we can discuss some of the logic that was used. Um, the first thing we talked about was the difficulty. So instead of just, I think the easiest way for us to do it was to use the radio buttons, and from that just build an array with different words. So as you can see, like I mentioned earlier, each difficulty setting has its own array list that it corresponds to. And so basically we just use like some if else statements. And so if you picked easy, then you would use the array list that held car, run, and gas. But if you didn't pick that one, we would be going to, like say you pick medium, then you would go to the array with cake, ham, as we spoke about earlier. So that was perfect for if else statements. And then from there, um, when it came time for the word to guess, we wanted to make it where no matter what case it would pretty much just go by the word, pretty much ignore the case basically. So we just made sure we transferred the letters to uppercase. All the letters were made uppercase. Even for the answer, like we made it all uppercase too. So that way, even if you typed it in as some lowercase letters, it'll just automatically go to uppercase letters. So we didn't really have to deal with a case issue. And also, as you can see with the form, we use that action to go to the gameplay to PHP, which basically held everything for the game. The first page was just the pretty much to get started and log in, that type of thing. But all the action pretty much happens on the gameplay. And also, so after we get the word, say you guessed the word and it was incorrect, then what we would do is we'll give you the letters that you did guess correctly that match the word that was chosen, the hidden word, basically the secret word. And so we basically used three arrays where one array was the string that was the actual answer, and then the second array was the answer that was given in the text box by the user, basically the user input. And the third array, we just used it to store the correct answers or whether the answer was wrong. So if you put the wrong answer, then you'll get a blank space in that slot because it just used a for loop to go through each array and compare. And if it's the correct letter, then it would give that letter. And if it's not the correct letter, then it would just give a space. And basically, you could work from there and figure out if you what word it was eventually. And this was the main page. I showed snips and pieces of it, but this is it. Chachan did a very good job with this, with the main page and everything. Then I added the text box where you would enter just your name and then you enter your email, and we use that for the cookies, as I said earlier. And as you see, you have instructions telling you to go ahead and select the level of the game that you would like to choose. From there, take it here, and we will play the game. So now let's see how the game actually operates. Let me try to switch screen. Let's escape out of that. And this is the game. So like I said, you would just type your name. Let me clear that one out. Frank. Not sure. I hope I spelled that correctly. Forgive me if I didn't. Let's see. And let's try for the impossible. And actually, for the sake of the demonstration, I actually display what word is at the top. So when we click on, we will be able to see what word it is. But that's simply for the demonstration. That's not a part of the game. That's just for show right now. And we just use the echo statement for that, so it's easily deleted. And we pick impossible. All right. So with this, you can see that the word that was randomly selected was hypertension. And actually, let's go back to the source. Oh no, it will be on here. Never mind. But yeah, so the word would be hypertension, and so the user, if they guessed incorrectly, it would just go through like 7 times. And the reason we picked 7 was for the number of letters in Hangman. Like Hangman had 7 letters, so gave you 7 opportunities to guess the correct word. Oh, before I do that, as you can see, it's a leaderboard here, and we just use the basic href, and if you click on it, it'll take you to the leaderboard where we save the data from the cookies that gives your score as well. And as I said, we could put the word in. Let's put the correct word in. I like to win. Hypertension. And we get. All right. All right, so that wasn't expected. But that just goes back to the logic part. Like, that was the most difficult part. We had some issues with that. Let's go back to it. Let's see. Hmm. So it seems we're having some type of flaw. Hmm. Okay, so there we go. We got the right answer. All right. Well, we do thank you for your time. And like I say, out of all the projects, this was the most difficult one. Like, I mean, as far as the logic part, the like if you were doing it in Java or regular language, like it was the concept would be easier, but having to do it within the PHP parameters, that made it a little bit more difficult. But again, hey, it worked.